they got back and they showed us just how good they've kind of gotten at that map whenever they were spending a lot of time scrimming EU sides, and Cafe's a very big EU map as well, so you would expect them to pick up some tips, and they did exactly that. And yeah, like I said, good mix. Coastline again, which I'm just enjoying watching just more and more as it gets played. We had the double clubhouse, probably because we didn't have any clubhouse before then, Ollie, so we had to make up for it somehow. Still would have loved to have seen another bank today, but it is what it is. We get a cafe, which I always enjoy watching.
It's all better than Oregon, am I right?
I'm not taking no bias for maps. You know, it's if we get an Oregon now and then, I'm not afraid of an Oregon. It's
I'm
just
ready for one.
Obviously, I think some national programs kind of just bore you because all it is just Oregon. Might have played as Ollie where me and you have cast it and it's been 4 Oregons in a row. It's that's whenever it gets a little bit monotonous, but whenever you don't have it as frequent, you know, it's nice to see an Oregon in there.
A good variety. And a bit of a variety inside of the bans here for Cafe. We've actually got a Flores ban. Now, it seems like a long time ago since Flores came into the competitive scene, but of course we've even got Thunderbird now, so it's a good deal of time ago. And in terms of bans, Flores did see a couple of bans at the start, but since then it has dropped off a little bit. But we see him banned here today. Santos going to remove the Flores and the Valkyrie, W7M, Thatcher, and the Wamai. So we've got a bit of a throwback ban in there as well. A Wamai ban on this map used to be very popular and common indeed. Nothing too earth-shattering, nothing too groundbreaking. We've got a couple of key components available on both sides. I think mainly toward the Hibana, if that's going to be your choosing, although it isn't as required here on Cafe. But you've, of course, got the Nomads available, which I would argue is a borderline necessity.
Yeah, I think there's certain operators in Cafe where they really crutch. Like there's some interesting kind of plays that you can do in Cafe, especially with, I think, roam games, and the fact that there's a multitude of staircases you can utilize. I think Nomad is always going to be a big instant pick for anyone on the attack. Santos obviously banning out Valkyrie. Valkyrie is another operator that is going to be an instant pick on Cafe no matter what, so that's why we see it banned a lot. I mean, these are probably the most normal bans we've had all day, Ollie, I think, by any stretch. We've seen some interesting ones today. We've seen Lion bans come in. Obviously, Habana Thatchers on both Clubhouse games was interesting to see. Maybe Flores is a bit of a niche one still, but then again, Flores, really good map for him is Cafe.
Pressure really on W7M right from the get-go, given that these guys are starting on the attack. They're attacking into Fireplace. So, not the usual first site choice, but plenty of viable sites here on Cafe, and usually all attacked in a very similar fashion. You need to take control of that top floor, and that's what the drones are starting to do now. Hayes is just getting himself onto that rappel. He can look to try and hold MGN and stop him from pushing on up any further than White Stairs. There is a shield there, so it's unlikely that he's going to make too many moves. And with options for rotation, W7M slowly but surely are forcing these players from Santos out, but it is not coming entirely for free. Good coordination here as the White Stairs window gets opened up as well, and it does a lot more to further cut off those players in that top floor.
Straight in to that top floor. This is where the sledge can have a lot of fun, Ollie, it has to be said. Vertical game is extremely dominant on Cafe. He's trying his best to actually challenge, but MGN is ready on the trigger and will eliminate that box. That's one soft destructor down, but then again, they still have the sledge. It's not too bad, but you would have liked to have seen a trade come in, though, from W7M, and I mean, Santos, a great deal of advantage now, because they still have control of White Stairs, and nobody is in a good position to really entry onto him, but W7M, Ollie, they put all their attention towards trade, and they have the hatch open. They're starting to use that vertical game that we kind of mentioned, and see if they can execute well.
MGM playing very patiently here. He's basically just occupied the stairs for the entirety of the round, but eventually will be caught on out as Guy opens things up with 3 herds. He's going to find one for himself as well. 1 second left and the plant will start to go down. Not in a position to jump on the yokai drones and deny. Herd still with that covering fire. Takes down Hunter. 1 versus 2. Winnable, but not. Panico is going to be able to pick up the final frag. W7M execute. Nice plant there inside of the wheel room. They're able to pick up round number 1.
Yeah, W7M managed to make that work even with the first man falling. I think it just shows and highlights, Ollie, whenever you have that hatch open, it's very, very difficult to have any room for maneuver on the defensive side, and I think W7M executed that very, very well. So yeah, has to be said. W7M, a good start. Is it bad if I really want to see W7M win today? I just love an underdog, Ollie.
It's not bad at all. You can root for whoever you like. You really can. It's pretty lawless over here. That's how I get away with being so Furia biased, you know?
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Let's see what round 2 has in store. Santos with a change of site here. Going to take us up to the top floor. Demo, for me, they've still not gone to a primary choice site. You know, you would have expected Reading, you would have expected Bakery.
Is top floor not primary in your eyes?
I don't think the top floor is a primary site. No, I think the top floor is can be fairly straightforward to get rooted out of there.
I think top floor is the go-to, in my opinion. I think that's number 1. We see this usually first pick straight away. I mean, I personally think a lot of teams are shifting away from Kitchen at the moment. Kitchen is very, very difficult. Like I said about vertical game, Kitchen, you can get really punished quite heavily because of the vertical game. I think Reading has been a big popular one. Like we've seen teams now trying to focus on the fireplace as well now, and into the train museum. So there has been a shift in meta, but no, I still think top floor is still your fairly go-to. Mostly because it's one of the most simplest defenses you can do. It's just hold piano and hope for the best. That is it.
Well, so far, Santos are doing a reasonable job of holding into that piano. They've got quite a bit of utility here to assist as well. Konza's going to drop down, get himself into mining. He can still be quite a menace from that location. Of course, he did have a C4 in pocket, but no longer. So, going to be restricted to playing the shotgun if he wants to try and play vertically or rotate himself back upstairs. Rise having a bit of trouble with a drone, but eventually it will be dealt with. MGM eats a flashbang, and Herds is going to try and remove some of that utility that's being played on Pixel.
It's a very tough position to play from a defender's perspective, and that's always the number 1 enemy, you could say, for the attackers, is that player inside a Pixel. He's the man who eats up all of the utility. He has a mute jammer, a Goyo shield, and a few ADSs to try and assist them. Is that going to be enough, though, for Santos? There's a myriad of utility still left on the board for W7M. They have a few air jabs. Oh, the C4. That's going to be from, I think, from below, potentially being tossed out, and that will connect with a kill. So, W7M on the back foot once again. They've been in this position before, and they did manage to win that round, but this is a much more difficult bomb site, Ollie, I would say, to attack compared to Train. It's all about brute force, and if you cannot burn away these ADSs and you cannot eliminate that Goyo shield, MGN will have your life.
And the coordination comes into question here, really, doesn't it? That's an unfortunate circumstance. The nade there getting burnt up by the Aruni gate. I'm not sure if that was its intended purpose or not. I imagine it was going for the shield, but it might not even matter. As Santos, they suffer a loss and 2 downs. Hunter battles back, but it's not going to be enough. 3 versus 1 now, essentially, as Hunter is going to be the sole survivor. Kills continuing to fly here, and with 6 seconds left, you've got to try and thirst after that kill. Hunter, how does he do this? Picks himself up the ace, lands every single shot. A player that I highlighted moving into this game, and boy, oh boy, has he just stepped up.
What a round from Hunter. W7M, they hit a wall, they couldn't get through it. So they decided to try and go around the wall and just flood into the bomb site, and it worked for them, Ollie. Santos, at one point, Ollie, they had 3 players injured on the floor, a 1v3, and Hunter, out of nowhere, just hits it out of the park. My oh my, he has been the shining star for this Santos side all season long so far, Ollie. I mean, Ollie, he has 8 clutches to his name, and I believe that's number 9, so he now takes the lead of all-time clutches, I think. Wow. Very, very impressive from Hunter.
Didn't even have the Vector. Just throw that in there as well, you know?
I don't think he would have won it if he didn't have the TCSG, because he would have had to have reloaded.
Possibly 100%. Not, yeah. The Vector is a bit unforgiving in terms of the fire rate and the magazine size. I mean, it's not unforgiving at all.
It's like the Rona, isn't it?
It's very overpowered, but it's certainly not preferable. But he's landed his shots there beautifully, and he's played that exceptionally well. And that's a classic example of a round that is already won for W7M. All they've got to do is go through the motions, and they still manage to mess it up. And you can't afford to be dropping those. It's not a round that Santos deserved to win off the back of, you know, planning, coordination, anything other than just Hunter's sheer raw skill and gun skill at that. It's an unfortunate round for W7M. I think it's one that they'll potentially kick themselves over, but maybe not now, as they've got another site to focus on. Going into kitchen.
Is always a fun one. See play out. I wonder if W7M will they take that same approach with a vertical game that we've seen them do onto the train defense with Santos. But then again, look at Santos. They've geared up to try and hold train as best as they can. They've opened up the freezer hatch to give their roamers an escape if needed, and also extending out in towards restaurant and VIP, in towards coat check. We see a man, and DK is able to swing. Oh, that was very close to GDN's head. But he's still alive for the meantime. STK not afraid to go for the challenges. It's a reason, Ollie, why we see him have so many opening kills so far in this season. There certainly is some potential for STK, and he just lands the pistol, and down goes Herd. What is going on with W7M?
Professional baseball players at the moment, Demo. They're really throwing these rounds away, as that's 2 very soft kills given away onto STK. Rise putting the pressure on, so much so that players now feeling the need to make that rotation out. Hunter, the man of the moment, going to be playing inside of the freezer as well. Rise is in position to assist him. Guy's playing at the bottom of those white stairs, just in the garage area. Chance here that he's just going to get cut off by the Toxic Babe canisters, and looks as though that's what's happening right now. Vertical game coming through, but I mean, that's a little bit of a shot in the dark at this point. There's too few attackers to really hold any significant angles vertically, and you'd have to try and pressure in onto the site. Hunter, he's going to pick himself up yet another before being traded out vertically by Panico. But I do not think there's going to be any panic on the side of Santos at all. GDN has a long way to go. He's potentially looking at a bit of a hatch drop here, as that is going to be held by Rise if he does so. Panico finds his second onto comms, so it truly is on, but nobody has considered Rise or the location that he is playing. 2 headshots to clean up that round. He essentially played the entire round from that location, just waiting for those players to drop through the hatch.
It didn't move, just became a piece of the furniture inside of VIP, so very surprising round from W7M. Didn't really put any pressure on Santos at all. I mean, the opening 2 kills from STK, should he have gotten them, Ollie? No. Shouldn't allow that to happen if you're W7M, but it did. It did happen. I mean, I looked at the setup, and you're sitting there and you're looking at it all and you're thinking, surely just hitting in from bakery is the easiest alternative, no? Like, you look at the setup. There was 2 guys towards restaurant. He had 2 guys upstairs. He had 1 guy in the site. That was it. Nobody towards bakery at all.
Even if you go bakery and then change your mind after doing a little bit of work in there, you know, you don't have to commit to wherever you enter. You don't have to fully commit to that kind of a push. You know, you can make moves. I mean, even the vertical presence, like W7M had obviously planned to have a vertical presence there, and it actually worked really well for Panico when he got up there and started doing it. He found himself a couple of kills. A lot of the damage had been done at that point because we'd seen players try to just rush in through main door. So again, you know, you kind of do in steps 2 and 3 before you've even done step 1. And I think that's really where we saw W7M fall there. But they have an opportunity to redeem themselves now. We've spoken already about how pressured attacks can be on this map. So as long as they're able to get a couple of rounds here, I don't think they're going to be too disheartened. They're back into attacking upstairs into that reading room. Sorry, not the reading room site, the dining room site. Oh, it is in reading room.
Yes, reading now. So you will expect to see a heavy top floor hold from Santos in this scenario. So really no surprises here from their setup. I mean, all eyes are going to be in W7M. Cafe is usually an easier map to play from a defender-sided. Very straightforward. Not too many things that you can do that's too over the top. It is fairly streamlined. I mean, it's up there with you know, one of the easiest maps to play. With like Oregon and Clubhouse, just everyone knows how to play it. But the way you play it is spawn peeking, jumping out of windows, swinging everything you can. You know, it suits a specific play style for some teams, and some players just excel on this type of map.
Bit of drone work now going ahead as W7M look to make an approach in toward that top floor. They've spent quite a bit of time getting themselves set up for this. Rise is still going to be playing up there on the Echo. Flanks should be somewhat protected as we do have the Nomad in play. I don't think it can work out whether it's a top floor clear or just a straight out and out of sight push here, as W7M have spent so much time at this point that they can't really afford to be going up and opening extensive vertical angles. They're instead just going to have to try and push in onto the site. The biggest problem with that being is that there are players absolutely everywhere. Panico's probably asking why is he there, and MGN just springs up behind the bar downstairs and finds first blood. Hunter can now look to rotate and make his way back in onto the site. Any vertical angles that now start to get opened may be greeted by a C4, as Cons still has one in pocket. Players for Santos stacking up in that laundry area. Herd's going to take advantage of that, shutting STK down, but instantly refragged. Cons there with the covering fire. 20 seconds now remain as Kai's, he's looking to try and make a big entry and a bit of a name for himself here as he moves on through. Takes down Rise, playing on the Echo, backs it up with a kill onto Cons, and is now providing enough cover for the plant to start to go down, but they didn't account for Hunter. Yet again, he comes in at a crucial time, laid prone with the shotgun. No. Can he find the final kill? The answer's no. Guy sprints his way on through, pre-fires, hip-fire, pre-fire no less. Manages to clutch things up. I thought that was going to be another round for Hunter, but no. W7M, by the skin of their teeth, they take it.
How does the shotgun not connect?
Didn't believe. You gotta believe in it.
I just don't know. 9 times out of 10, that's a kill. I mean, 10 times out of 10, that's a kill. This is where now we've hit the 100% success rate, and now we're on new territory. Oh. Don't know where to go from here. That is completely spun, I think, the momentum of this game now, because that, if you're Santos, that's a bad feeling, because that's a round that you looked at and you probably thought, hey, that should have been ours, but it's not yours. And W7M, like you said, Ollie, skin of their teeth, just about pulled it off. So now we move back upstairs towards this top floor, and this was again one of those rounds that was fairly strange to say the least. It did end up being an ace clutch. Well, it wasn't an ace clutch, but it was an ace with also clutch. Now that makes sense. And yeah, that's what we had. It was from Hunter. And realistically, Ollie, it was a round that W7M should never have been in. They failed to take Piano. They were struggling big time. They were losing utility. They were not able to clear out even Pixel at a point. And they just managed to flood into the bomb site. Maybe a little bit of disrespect coming from Santos to not be ready for something as simple as somebody dropping in the skylight. But they ended up in that position. But thanks to Hunter, they saved them.
Yeah, I think on paper, if you look at the way the rounds have gone so far, the scoreline now represents the siege we've seen. We've seen a bit of a clutch from Santos. We've seen a misplay from both sides. And it really feels like all's fair and even here at 2 rounds apiece. I don't think that either team is feeling particularly hard done by at this point. Both teams have had opportunities and... Please shoot that drone. Thank you. Hunter finally connects with the drone. Never easy when you get your pistol out. Especially when the drone's strafing like that. But it will be shut down. The information removed. Hunter! He might have a bit of trouble with drones, but he's got no trouble with heads. Panico, he gets taken out off the skylight. A very quick pop-up kill. Backed up with a frag onto Guy. W7M already heavily depleted. Cons, go on, swing it. You know what it looks like. He hits the shots there onto K's. Beautifully timed stuff. GDN looking to try and push on through with the cover of Herds. Well, this just feels like too little, too late demo.
It does a little bit. W7M have ran into the same issues, except it was much more of an aggressive setup from Santos, and they have completely obliterated the W7M lineup. Herds, as well as he has played in the past, this will be his biggest challenge yet. A 1 versus 4, and just a boatload of information it seems to be on the side of Santos. They know exactly where he is, and he's just going to get tickled a little bit by the Jaeger. Oh, catches with the final bullet there of his spray, and MGN goes down, but still a lot more work to be done. Still that active information just constantly being fed. They know where he is at all times, and he will take the plunge into White Corridor, pushing down in towards Planks, and this is a good crossfire being set up. And down he goes. STK will finish him off, and that was a Santos round all day long.
Well, well, well. W7M struggling dearly there with some pretty significant aggression on the side of Santos. Santos very ready and waiting for the fight. 3 rounds to 2. We could see this be defender-sided Cafe. So far we've seen... I think we've seen fairly equal splits in the majority of the games we've watched, Demo. I think it's been 3-3 either way. The top of my head, obviously aside from the first game, but certainly games 2 and 3 have very even, both going to maximum overtime. This one still has that potential. This could be a bit of a tipping point of a round, though. W7M ideally need to come away with an equal split. 3 rounds here would see them have a slightly easier time of things on the defense. With the way that Santos have been ramping it up, especially the way that they met W7M in that previous round. Seems like it could be a bit of a tougher task.
Kitchen now is where we go. Last time we were here, it was... I don't really know how to describe it. It was just STK swinging everything, peeking everything, Ollie, and just the bullets managing to hit, so... We'll see if W7M can maybe take a better approach. And, I mean, look at STK, Ollie. He was looking for a spawn peek right off the rip, man. He's taking no prisoners today. And STK is a bit of a wild guy, as we said. You look at how he performed against FaZe, Ollie. How many kills did he drop? 16, 17, something like that?
It was something incredible, wasn't it? And, you know, that's just the kind of player that STK is. On his day, he will serious. And the thing is, even not on his day, he's still going for those spawn peaks. You know, you look at him now, 4 and 3. He's not setting the world on fire by any means. That's firmly being done by Hunter. But he's still got the confidence to be looking for those early advantages wherever they can get them. And I feel like the momentum certainly with Santos to be doing that as well.
W7M just figuring out where they want to approach this, and it will be a full top-down clear. They did go for this last time, Ollie. They decided to try and push in towards Restaurant VIP. That just ended miserably for them, so they will try and challenge the roam game and try and utilize the soft destruction that you can get with the vertical action in towards Train. So now this is where the pressure kind of lies on the Santos. They will start to get pushed out, start to get droned, start to panic. That's where W7M can really capitalize on those mistakes. If they can really pay off in many of those scenarios. MGN will be pulled out in the drone, and you can see W7M, all of them getting in position, all the way hitting them. Big crossfire. Herd's trying his best to go for a bit of a wall bang, and that little bit of pressure, Ollie, is enough to scare away Santos, and they've dropped down the freezer hatch and they're back in sight.
Santos have still done a good job. You know, they've managed to waste a good portion of the round there. C4s that can now be used vertically. We already know how effective Panico can be on these vertical angles. Bit of a risk of placing one out as a pre-placed. Fonz is going to have to be fairly active on that to detonate, and he's actually going to miss his chance. As the floor continues to be opened here. Cons has kind of just given him another angle to work with, but I don't think they're going to be too concerned about that. Guy, he knows that somebody's down there. STK had the sixth sense to throw out the Gooman. Guy, please don't get caught inside of that Gooman. You know exactly where it is. In fact, it's going to place an air jab a little bit further down the stairs. Is it going to be enough? The answer is no. It isn't even going to detonate, but the shots aren't going to connect either. STK getting away with his life. No idea how he's managed to do that one. The flashbang is coming on into sight and continue to provide that pressure. Herds has made a big entry and he's going to pick one up, but they are being responded to. Santos in good positions to retake onto this as the kills do continue to fly. GDN has the kit in hand and is going to start to try and nail it to the floor. Hunter, the only surviving hope, will be taken out by the pistol. Panico, he's going to be the one to provide that cover. He'll have had the call that Hunter was one shot, and that call was correct. Everything all square here after the first half.
Yeah, that was a lot better from W7M, that attack. And I think that's what we expect to see from W7M. They played it extremely well, going above, scaring away the roamers, then used in the vertical game. Sure, it's going to get messy. It's a 5v5 onto a kitchen plant. You're always going to have trades come in. But they were able to get more trades than Santos, and that is what won them over the round. So overall, very well done by W7M. They walk away now with an even half. And it certainly has been an even game. I think both teams have looked good in areas. I think both teams have looked maybe a little bit weaker. I mean, look at last round. Did the roamers really have to drop that early, Ollie? It didn't look as if anyone was really, pouncing on them or anything like that.
They'd wasted a good amount of time, but I feel like there was a bit more that they could have done. You know, you think about how risky it is to start thinking about a lurk or a roam or anything of that nature once the air jabs have been placed out in the heat of the moment. And it was one of the factors that I think really slowed Santos down there. They've maybe given away a bit of a softer round. Certainly could have lent into a little bit more denial. But an equal split. Again, we're expecting this to go the distance. We're expecting these two teams to wage war on one another, and that's exactly what we're getting here. As that first half will go as an equal 3-3, giving both teams good opportunity here. And it's really going to come down to who's going to be the better side on the attack. You know, the attack is always the pressured side. Santos now have to come away with better than 3 rounds out of these next 6.
Moving in now to first round of Santos and their attacks. See how they want to execute onto top floor. I mean, W7M, they have the greatest of times up here. They really struggled, Ollie, with just figuring out piano, something that you would expect to be very simple, but it just looked very, very difficult. So, see if Santos maybe do whatever they did a little bit better. I mean, Hunter right now, Ollie, 11-4. He's really leading the charge across both teams. I mean, he is, what, 6 kills between anyone else?
Yeah, he's really popping off. You know, in the lobby average is probably, what, 5 kills, something like that, if you discount him. Maybe a little bit lower, maybe 4 kills. It's very impressive to see him hitting those sort of numbers, and And this is Hunter's capable of that. You know, we've seen him hit these numbers previously, certainly back in stage number 2. So it's nice to see him pop off, but he just needs a little bit more support from the rest of his team if they're going to try and, you know, really make a bit of a play for this. Obviously, his ace really helped him and helped his cause earlier on in the game. Since then, a bit more of a contribution required, I think, from the remaining players. And with that momentum switch of getting themselves onto the attack, maybe now is the time to do that. Could be framing up for a bit more of an east-sided take here, Demo, as we see a lot of that flooring get opened up and can be a bit of a risky one to try and execute on.
It is, and it usually is the path less traveled by, all it has to be said. Unless they're going to try and take piano within a minute, which I really, really doubt. I'm expecting to see an east side up white stairs and try and gain control of the actual cocktail bar, which we don't see all too often. It's usually long bars where we see a lot of the pushes come in. Smoke will be able to delay the timeout just for a little bit, will get spotted out, but then again, is he in a position where he could get pushed out? Not at the moment. STK doesn't have any nades left, and Panico will get things on the forward with a kill, but then quickly being traded out, and now it looks as if Santos, they became out on top on this one, so now it's down to Gui and Panico to see if they can respond and try their best. Oh, he does find one, finds the second as well, the LMG Ollie. It is so, so strong in those final few seconds, and a third lines up. Santos in a great position, but then the Maestro says, not today, boys, not today.
You can never count an Alder out. If there's one thing that you can take away from watching competitive Siege, it is just exactly that. The Maestro is always a problem, especially in the dying few seconds. Not many operators can pick up 3 kills like that without even breaking a sweat. So many bullets in the magazine, so little recoil to deal with. What more could you need? Clearly there, W7M needed nothing more than a well-placed player. And that's exactly what they had. I think that while Santos' attempt was good, they were able to rip up the floor really well, and they got the book in, they did all that stuff fantastic. Where they really lacked is anybody on that south rappel. If they'd have had one player on that south rappel window, they would have been able to entirely cut off Maestro from being able to do that, and Guy would have not been given any time or space to get away with what he just got away with at the top of Lumber. Bit of a strange one, bit of an unfortunate round for Santos, again, coming short on the time. I think it was a good idea, but again, this is where we come back to Cafe and we come back to how punishing it can be for teams that struggle on the attack, or struggle with timing, more specifically, on the attack. And once you get caught in the weeds here, it can be very difficult to get yourself out.
Indeed. W7M have a bit of momentum now behind them, Ollie. We'll see if they can do the business on their next bomb site. Moving in towards that reading. Bit of a classic, and look at the approach they've taken, Ollie. Not only to hold upstairs, but also holding in towards train. So, doing a bit of everything. Trying to take all options away. That's usually what we find, Ollie, for this bomb site is... Well, there's kind of 3 ways that attackers play it. Usually the go-to is take above, in towards cocktail bar, use the sledge, open up the vertical, then try and move around and plant into pillars. Or we see teams completely ignore the cocktail bar hold and just try and push in towards train and plant in fireplace. Or the third option is you rush into pillars. There's a few options there that you can have, but yeah, they're taking away 2 of those options from the table with the setup that they've went for.
STK going to be on that south window rappel. It's one that I commented on earlier, but see how much bearing it has inside of this round. He's obviously looking to assist in clearing out that top floor. I thought Rise was getting baited out there by the alibi, but it seems as though just pre-firing through into the wall. Herds will have the opportunity to drop here if he needs. As this push does start to materialize, and you can see that Santos are really trying to get these players downstairs, gain that top floor control. But again, it's taking a good amount of time. A little bit of drone work coming in onto the site. With no smoke in play, it does give Santos a little bit more time to work with here. Still the small fact of 3 C4s. Now, potentially, they could be going for a plant inside a dining, as That's certainly where Cons is indicating toward this time, given that he is the diffuser carrier and he is opening up that wall into dining, just on the side of fireplace. But it does need to be finished in getting opened. It's going to be soft for the time being. It can easily be opened myriad of ways by these attackers. Potentially could be looking for a plant.
Yeah, definitely gearing up towards that side, but and again, look where Cons is with that diffuser. He's the main man to try and get these plants down. Like we've mentioned before, Ollie, with Santos, they have a good plant record and certainly something that they can try and go for. So I'm not entirely sure what their main plant's going to be. Will it be in towards raiding? No, with that rotate from Cons, it looks as if it's going to be towards fireplace. SDK makes a great peek and it will eliminate Guy. And oh, they all start flooding in Santos. I've got a myriad of kills on the board. And another one falls due to an A. GDN all by himself will eliminate MGN, but still there's 3 more to find. Diffuser is cold though, Ollie. That is one thing that we have to mention, but it will be picked up by Rise very easily. Live action pings coming up, but SDK is there. He had a big round to play and really played it perfectly, Ollie. Now we go back, level pegging.
Slightly messier stuff there, I think, from W7M. They had the opportunity to really sort of hold Santos out there for a little bit longer, but when it's as unpredictable as an approach as what Santos just showed us, then realistically, what are you going to be able to do? I think that Cons did a great job there of getting in on the Maverick and opening up a couple of those key walls, and they were almost dummy sort of distractions at points and just giving his team further options to work with. It was all things that really heavily assisted there. So you mentioned STK had a bit of a standout round, which was, I think, something that he's potentially needed. Looking at this game in isolation, he's not had the best of games so far, but slowly but surely starting to chalk those kills up. He's actually managed to get himself up to double positive, 10 and 5 now. He's not quite caught Hunter up just yet, but he's not far behind.
No, not too far behind. Definitely starting to catch up. Now we move into kitchen this time for W7M. Haven't seen this from them as yet, Ollie. And lineup. Looking to be roam orientated. The fact that we're seeing Alibi be brought in kind of leads me to believe that. We'll see if they want to try and hold above. Did they reinforce the garage walls in white? Did I see that correctly? I'm not too sure. Did they? I don't know. It looked as if they did. So if they've reinforced in towards the garage walls also, they're going to really be hunkering down in towards VIP and restaurant. That's a definite. So they will be going for the roam game, Ollie. So they're going to play pretty much the same way Santos were playing.
Are Santos going to go for a full map clear? That is the question. Rise is in position to do so. Is he going to be assisted by the rest of his team? I feel like a lot of these attacks from either side, Demo, have taken a while to really show themselves for what the full intention is. We've got MGM there. He's going to be cutting off through main door. That's a bit of a point of contention for W7M. They kind of all got massacred inside of that main door by STK. But you got a bit of drone work going on in there as well. I think STK is in and around the area. Now Rise has got himself onto the ground level as well. So all of a sudden it started looking like it could have been a top floor push, but we're well into the first minute and so of the round, and that's now clearly not the case. Santos going for a very direct approach here, and you're just going to feel a bit sick if they start to rotate and try and pressure some vertical at around the 40-second mark, because you're just like, why didn't you go for that in the first place? As it stands, this may work, as they've been able to get the wall open into prep. It looks as though they've got a bit of an idea and at least plenty of option for information gathering.
Still no kills on the board as of yet. We'll see W7M still have these openings above, and I would like to see Santos go above and just apply a little bit of pressure, honestly. Ollie, you can literally sit outside of the train balcony and just open up the train window and just go from there. Like, that's all you need to do is sit so they cannot play those vertical angles. Because, I mean, W7M, they can really run you in circles if they have that upstairs control. So, I do worry for Santos. We'll see if they can play with it and see what they choose to go for. But, I mean, Herds, as long as he can cover that breach, Hans is not getting no plants down today.
Ooh, Cons is getting chunked down as well, so It'll be even more difficult for him to do anything, especially with the Toxic Babe canisters. Only a couple of breaths and he'll be out of commission. Does eventually get himself down as kills start to come on through. STK takes out Panico. Rise finds a second. And Kai's 1v3. Plant's going down. Rise takes him out from above. Santos. They get away with it there, Demo. I honestly didn't think that they had much of a chance on that round.
Yeah, but they did send someone above, which was the game changer. They were able to put pressure onto those roamers who then couldn't put pressure onto the players flooding into the bomb site. So all credit to Santos. They seen what they needed to do before they could finally pull off and execute. So all credit where it's due. Santos, a great all-round round from them. So yeah, great stuff. They take the lead once again of 5-4. W7M back behind now, but still one round between them.
Not enough of a margin for any side to be getting too ahead of themselves or excited just yet. Still chance for W7M to pull this one back. Going to be going upstairs, bar and cocktail. Especially with the approach that we saw Santos go for previously when they attacked this site. They got themselves in underneath. I forget who was playing onto the book. Potentially Rise. Got himself in underneath and was able to destroy a lot of the floor, and it was an out-and-out east-sided take. That's obviously not going to be the case this time, given that there is not a book in play. You're not going to be able to have the same effect in terms of opening up that cocktail balcony floor. So maybe we see a little bit more of a standard, a little bit more of a typical push here from Santos, and that could just be what it takes for them to get this one over the line, because it was a bit unorthodox last time, Demo, wasn't it? I think we agreed on that.
Yeah, it was. It was certainly outside of the box. And, I mean, sometimes it's good to see. It is good to see teams try new things and maybe things that we don't see all too often. But in the end, I still think if you want to try and take this bomb site, you need to take the piano control. It has to be from red stairs into piano. Use your utility. I mean, it is something that W7M struggled with, was their utility usage. And Santos shouldn't have too many issues with it. It does seem, I know I may be saying this and it's, you know, you're not playing, you're only saying this in hindsight, it is what it is, but all you have to do is throw a couple of flashbangs, toss an 8 in, blow up the shield, and you've got the control. That's all you need.
The Roaming Castle. That well-known powerhouse of utility. Jokes aside, you know, it may work here for Panico if they've got a specific use to bring the castle. It could pay some results, especially in conjunction with the laser gates. It can be a very time-consuming combination. Obviously, with Rise on the sledge, it is less so, but still, you've got to be in a position to get rid of them. That can often be a large part of the problem. Have a roamer all the way down on the bottom floor as well. Herds is going to be inside of the bakery at this time. Flank watch proving crucial. Hunter needs to make sure he's getting the air jabs out onto the staircases and just removing all ability for these players to flank on up. Herd still below. I guess the biggest downside with this at the moment is that if Herds gets himself cut off and caught on the wrong side of one of the air jabs, everybody on the site is essentially in a 5 versus 3.
Yeah.
Especially with the way that Panico and Herds are playing at the moment, I feel like the information mustn't be there for Santos to know that there's only 3 members on the site.
Oh, but now they know that one is off-site and has just been able to kill MGN, so that is a great little pick from Herds there. And another one from Herds challenges the hatch, and STK goes down. What a big round from the roaming Aruni, and Herds is really taking that round by storm and sets teams up so nicely now. They clean things up. 40 seconds to go. Santos have literally nothing to play off at this stage, and it's looking as if it's going to go back into an even field once again, 5 rounds to 5, unless W7M do something disastrously wrong. But nope, looks as if that they're holding firm at the moment. They have got 1 kill back. Rise has eliminated 1, but then there's the trade-off. Hunter goes down, a 2 versus 4, and you see W7M, how much room they have to work with. They know one's in the window repel. As soon as Rise goes for the swing-in ollie, he will be shut down immediately. I think it's only a matter of time before Santos lose out this round, and yep, they will collapse. W7M, bring it back. 5-5.
I got a feeling we may be going all the way in this game. Santos really struggling with that top floor and that attack, and it should be something that's pretty bread and butter if they're going to be willing to come to Cafe. You need to have an idea of how you want to attack that top floor. Site that a lot of teams will have a very clear and structured way of approaching. Santos just getting caught out there in a couple of unfortunate circumstances, and I think the main thing being a severe lack of information. And that isn't really something that the bans as they sit really sort of affecting onto. There's no argument to say that the Flores is restricting the information that's available for Santos, but we have lived with Flores without Flores, should I say, for many a moon here in Siege, and there are plenty of other means and ways of gathering that info. You've got to be careful with your drones, you've got to be smart with your drones, you've got your Geminis from Iana. There's a ton of different things that you can try and do to understand where those defenders are, and I think that Santos just didn't have a clear enough idea.
Yeah, it was definitely tough on them. Information really lacking on Santos in that round. Being able to gift Herds an easy two-piece. I mean, he's definitely came alive. Ollie now sitting on 10 kills, leading his team currently. And almost catching Hunter. I mean, we praised Hunter, saying he was having a great game. He's kind of teeters off a little bit, hasn't he, Ollie? Since he's kind of switched to the attacking half, so I want to see more from him. But at the moment, it has been, again, just another close game. Like you said, overtime definitely on the horizon. Odd FaZe treat us thinking, oh, it's going to be another quick night at 7-0, but nope. The other teams aren't having it.
No, we were really going to pay for yesterday, and the best way to do it was to get it out of the way and sort of sting us now while we're still high on life after a short day yesterday. But I don't mind watching two teams go at it. It's nice to see how much these teams have got in the tank. You know, the sort of the longevity of these games can really be a big telling factor sometimes, especially if they've had a previous game that's run quite short earlier in the week, so or sorry, the previous day. So nice to see Santos being pushed here by W7M, two teams that are occupying a similar spot inside of the leaderboard. Obviously W7M dead last at the moment, but there is nothing to say that they can't climb their way out of that relegation spot. Nice ADS there, just going to save the barbed wire and the player. Guys can retreat back to the deployable shield, and we continue with this utility soak.
Yeah, plenty of utility being eaten up, though. Yeah, I suppose as expected. Especially not like Cafe, where utility, see it be used boatload by defenders and attackers alike. There's nomad charges. Going to be the main thing that I think Santos need to set up. Don't be getting hit in the flanks, and certainly W7M, they're a team that isn't afraid of going for those late rotates and trying to really dig their heels in and find a way under Santos. At the moment, looks as if Santos are going to opt for a generic train take in towards fireplaces where they're hoping to go. And last time they were here, Ollie, it was a great attack. Didn't really have any issues. It was just formulated very, very well. But W7M under a lot of issues. I thought SDK had a great round here last time. He was just there at the right place, right time, getting the good swings going, and just picking up kills to really elevate his team into a great position.
Hans has got the potential to push on through here and maybe try and get the diffuser down. He's pretty unsure about the whereabouts of a lot of these players, but STK and MGM both collapse in at the right time, and it only took a few seconds and every kill was found there. Santos, great information gathering. I tell you what, Demo, that execute was very reminiscent of something that NIP were doing only an hour or so ago.
Yeah, very impressive from Santos, and they are back in the lead. Again, another back and forth game, Ollie. I don't think has there been, 2 rounds difference between them? I'm pretty sure there's only just been 1 round at least between them, just that 1 round buffer.
I think there's been 2. I think Santos were up, but 5-3.
It's been crazy. It has been crazy. So
it hasn't even felt like an advantage, though. You know,
no.
there's been no clear way. We'll go all the way with this game. I'm sure of it.
Who knows? Maybe Santos, they can have a good attack on towards the kitchen now. I mean, last time they were here, Ollie, again, it was another great round from Santos. They didn't sweat at all. It was very well formulated. They took in towards Bakery. They hit the roamers above just at the perfect time to really go in and execute. So it was good. Very, very good. So W7M, now you're in the hot seat. You have to win this round to keep yourselves in it. Overtime is looming, and you need to make sure that you are there for it. Santos, lineup hasn't really changed. They've been bringing the same 5, more or less, every round. A couple of changes coming in for W7M. We're seeing the Echo be played now. Off the Alibi, which I know made a bit of an appearance. I wonder, are they going to go heavy upstairs again? Doesn't look like it, Ollie, so they will forfeit that top floor control. That gives Santos just complete access if they want to go for it. Straight in, no issues to worry about. And just with the positioning and the way that they're entering in, they're rappelling up now in towards the rooftop. I think that they might choose to go for the vertical game this time.
Santos, an opportunity then to walk away with 3 points out of this one. A lot hinges on the attack, as you mentioned, Demo. The vertical game could be the key here. It's somewhere that has been semi-neglected from both sides. It's been used, but it hasn't been truly abused. They've not been getting themselves in there and causing a real menace nice and early. There's still a chance for that to happen here in this round, although we have seen a minute of action so far. STK, crouches surely. CMKs, he's right there. STK finds one onto Herds. He was almost spoilt for choice, but he will be taken out as an instant 1-for-1 trade. You've lost your nades. You've lost a bit of information gathering. Bit of a blow for Santos to happen early.
It is a big blow, but again, it is still 4-4. Still doable. By either side at the moment, up in the air. Who wants to grab it? Let's see. Information being fed. I hear the drone, and as if GDN doesn't know he's being watched, that drone is being chucked into a bunch of junk, and oh, that is a great pickup. Collins goes down. That's the diffuser cold inside a restaurant, and Santos now all of a sudden they're DEFCON 1 moment, Ollie. Not entirely sure what they want to go for. Hunter now swings around. Is he aware there's a man on his red stairs? Panico is ready for him, and oh, Hunter shuts him down. MGN, I think, was ready for the refrag anyway, but they do not lose Hunter in that engagement. Final remaining players are all going to be on the bomb site. Echodrones will feed some information and disorientate Hunter as it goes. GDN with one on to rise, and there goes the cleanup. W7M, they take us to OT, Ollie.
It's a shame there from Santos. I feel like they had enough time to gather a little bit more information before going for that execute. But this wouldn't be BR6 if we didn't go all the way into overtime. Our 3rd game in a row here tonight. 6 rounds apiece, nothing separating these two inside of regulation. We are forced into another guaranteed 2, potentially 3 rounds. To see who's going to come away with a lion's share of the points. Both teams guaranteed 1 at this moment in time. The winner, of course, will come away with 2. W7M continue here on the defense. I think that's one of those occasions where STK will look back at that and he'll really kick himself that he could actually clearly see Kai's behind the bar. And that little opening engagement goes a little bit differently. It could have been an entirely different round. I'd have to go back and rewatch. I'm not sure what sort of utility was available, whether nades were up or anything like that, but there was definitely more that they could have done earlier on inside of that round.
There's a lot to be desired, certainly. So, W7M, they continue with the defense. Keep in mind, Ollie, it was even as it went into the second half, so does it favor any side at the moment? Nope, doesn't favor any of them. It's definitely there for the attackers and the defenders. Had a lot of that tonight, Ollie, where it has been even at the half. Pretty sure our other 2 games earlier, apart from the phase one, obviously, which was not even. It was blatantly one-sided. It just went to free, and whoever took it, took it. That was it.
No, it really has. That's the way that it's been rolling, and it's good to see. You know, it's good to see that there's not a great deal of attacker or defender bias in a lot of the maps that we've seen tonight. And certainly the matches that we've had, I think we've had some really good matchups as well. This one is really proving its worth. You know, both teams 6 rounds apiece, not a lot separating them. Both teams really fighting in the bottom part of the table. W7M fighting the hardest out of anybody so far to try and get themselves off that bottom place position. Points here could go a long way toward that.
Moving on now. We've already hit a minute gone in the round. Nade almost hitting GGN there, and he has to back away just a little bit. Gonzalez taking a bit of damage also, so he has to be careful. One fatal move and he could be taken out by a single bullet in many circumstances. Santos. I mean, look at their take, Ollie. They're all about the windows at the moment. See what information they can find, but Santos all in on this east side take. Seen them go here before, Ollie, and they've tried this attempt in the past. W7M, how are they going to approach this one?
Didn't work for them previously when they tried it. But Santos, they're going to give it another go here. One of the real keys is being able to get a couple of kills on that rappel. You need to try and remove players like GDN. A shot going to go into his foot, but it isn't going to be enough. You need nades to get him out of that position. Nades are something that, at the moment, are unavailable. There are 2 remaining. STK and Rise are going to be the players that we look toward for those nades. Well, if there's 2 remaining and Rise has got 1, that means that STK also has 1. So you need to really get players in position to try and deal with that. Obviously, the biggest factor previously was Guy on the Maestro. That was a really big problem on the lumber corner in that white corridor, but first kill going to come through. Panico takes down STK. That's the nade. One of the nades gone, should I say. Rise needs to try and make this one land. They need an entry in onto the site here, but the info isn't great. It isn't going to land. It isn't going to deal any damage. And Panico can pick up his second kill inside of the round. Kays grabs 1. Panico a 3rd. He's got so much damage. The roaming castle. Who'd have thought it? GDN to pick the final kill. A flawless round from W7M. Puts them on an overtime match point.
Does indeed. W7M back in the driving seat. It was looking grim for them for a while, Ollie, but 2 rounds in a row means that they go 1 round up above Santos. 7-6. Will it be max OT again, Ollie? Will it?
I guess possibly. Very possibly. I'm not counting anything out at this point. I know you're cheering W7M, but I've just got a feeling about Santos.
He's got a feeling. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Oh. I'm not sure if everyone at home's seen that because we flicked over to the replays just before, so I will keep you all in suspense for a second. But there has been a 6-pick. We have seen the Nook come out. The Nook in an overtime on a match point nonetheless. This is huge, Demo.
I mean, I think Nook definitely has replaced the meta. I think the fact that she has nades makes her just viable no matter what, just apart from the gadget. It's almost like we see why we see Alibi kind of in the meta, Ollie, is not because the gadget is overly insane, but because of the, you know, the loadout that they get. FMG9 is a very good gun to have for an attacker. The nades, like I said, obviously going to be a massive bonus. I mean, obviously the gadget is there, but the gadget is sometimes tricky to really excel with. I mean, Nook's biggest disadvantage is if there's a Melusi on the side of the defense. You just can't do anything against that. But thankfully, though, for him, there is not a Melusi on the side of Santos in their defense. So certainly there is opportunities for crouch walking to really shine through.
I think more than anything, it just shows a willingness to play that crouch walking play style when everything matters the most. And that's the kind of confidence that I really like to see in a player. You know, if Kays is going to get himself in there and cause a bit of a nuisance, crouch walk his way in, see if he can find an opening, get behind enemy lines, as it were. That's really something that I'm about here. But It's whether he is going to be given the opportunity to do so. Currently getting droned in upstairs. Going to be making his way up red. Drone working ahead of him. Should be able to call everything out required. Going to be a bulletproof camera, but of course not can semi-hide from that. It's going to be a successful demo. Guys, finds the opener onto Cons. That was the entry that W7M really needed.
It was indeed. It was indeed. And just the Nook just plays that game style of, it's only me. I'm going to have to do everything I can to get these kills. And he's done just that. TK has been spotted out by the drones. And it looks as if the Nook was on for another there. They know where STK is. They know positioning now. Santos. No roamers to worry about anymore. Here comes the nades. This is why Nook is going to be so strong. Oh, wow. Hunter! Oh, the nade hits him. And then the Goyo shield explodes right beside him and he gets burnt to a crisp.
That is a tilter. Hunter, for the game that he's had, he does not deserve that to happen to him. Hunter has had a standout game. And just an unfortunate series of events sees him taken out when everything matters the most. W7M on a match point. They've been able to pick up the first 2 kills without response. The pressure is really on Santos here. They've got 45 seconds to try and hold off. Rise is going to be on the Echo. Has his Yokai drones available. STK does something to stop this round from landslide into W7M's favor as he takes down Kai's. It's a small step in the right direction, but it is only just that. And there's quite a long way to go yet here. And Jen, you can see he's looking for information off his teammate's screen, likely onto a Yokai drone. Knows that somebody's going to be pushing him through into Piano. Just has to sit and patiently hold on to that angle. Another nade being cooked, but a headshot will be gained as Herds is going to be the next player to fall. Gee shuts down STK, and it's now a 3 versus 2. Match point for W7M. A lot rides on these next couple of seconds.
What?
All the kills come up Santos. MGM and Rise shut it down, and we go to maximum overtime.
A quick flick from Echo is enough to put W7M in the mud, and I think the Echo drones Ollie come in so clutch in that round. We've seen the yellow pings. They knew all the positionings of W7M in that round, and oh, it's going to be a tilter for sure of your W7M. 2 opening kills. Not a single scratch on any of your players. And then that happens. The priorities were all wrong. I don't think they grouped up well enough. I think whenever you've got those 2 kills, that's where you just hit sight.
Yeah.
You free Piano so incredibly hard. And it is strange not to see them really capitalize on that advantage. It is so surprising, but I mean, they paid for it. 7-7 max OT Ollie. What a day it's been. I mean, what's that? 45 rounds plus the 752 Ollie out of a potential 60 today. Not too bad.
Not too bad at all when you put it like that. It's certainly been a bit of a longer one, but it's been good. You know, we've seen teams going back and forth. This game has been another close game. You know, as we can see by the score, there's not a great deal separating these two. As you say, W7M, they're going to be kicking themselves for that previous round. You get 2 opening kills like that, you've only got one job left, and that's to hit a quick drone and everyone flood the site at the same time, and you just trade off the back of one another. Don't let anything go untraded, and you're going to come away with the round. But it was that slow and steady again. It was that, you know, tentative approach, one at a time, not taking things as proper double challenges that really sort of screwed them up there. And Santos dodged a bullet. That was certainly their round to lose. They weren't in a great situation at all. You can't lose 2 opening picks and then expect to still come out on top. Somehow they managed to do so. Rise really digging in deep. He's such a key support player on the defense. Done a great job all night playing that Yokai, the Echo role and operating the Yokais.
Yep.
But now they move over onto the attack for what will be for sure the final round of the day.
Well, definitely we've got that guaranteed. If there's one thing that me and Ollie know is that this will be the final round. Just believe us. Just trust us in that one because we're not wrong. So, let's see now how Santos will deal with their attacks. As we start to approach already almost a minute gone. Nomading off the flanks, which is kind of expected to see. It is a map that you can be very devastating on the roam game if you can play it well enough. And being able to stop their avenues of approach is always going to be good for the attackers. So W7M will hold in towards that top floor. Seen them do this before, and Really, Santos, how are they going to approach this? Straight into piano, opening up as many rotates as they can. No shield on top of White Stairs, which is a bit strange to see. That's usually a position that is held a lot easier if you have another deployable shield, and that's where it becomes a little bit more scary for the attackers. They have to then waste a bit of utility, but realistically, it's just going to be a one-for-one gunfight. That's all it's going to be now, approaching, I think, MGN. And Urge will come into a gunfight very quickly. See that the Jaeger's going to get forced off the deployable shield, knowing somebody is going to be in the window repel, so Santos are hitting them in all the right positions to try and eliminate this utility. Minute 15 to go still. Urge will pick up the first kill, an opening kill for him. MGN goes down, and look where he's rotated into Ollie, into a more aggressive position, not afraid to get angry and play with that aggression. There's another one falls. Santos, all of a sudden the seams are starting to tear. Can W7M finish this one off? Herds, oh, gets caught in a kind of hard place. Hunter will finish him off, but still 45 seconds to go, a 4 versus 3. Santos not in a good position. Panico perhaps looking for a rotate as well, Ollie. W7M not slowing down at all.
Well, we've been here, or at least somewhere similar to this before, Demo. The question is, can W7M close this one out? They've lost that vertical control. That can now start to be opened up. Rise. What's the sledgehammer to use? Players up there that can make advantage of these angles as well. GDM playing the shotgun on the hatch, very close range, going to be difficult to deal with, but the nade comes through, forces him out. The plant's now going down, and I don't think anybody knows about this. W7M are completely unawares, and the plant goes down seemingly for free. A 1-for-1 trade, make it 2-for-1, as W7M now look in position to take this game. Cons, he's trying to hold on. He finds one, but is instantly traded. Panico picks up the kill. A nice careful approach there to avoid any claymore, and that is going to be it. W7M, they're going to pick up the win tonight here on Cafe.
Phenomenal work from W7M. What a roller coaster of a matchup once again. My oh my. Deserved from W7M. I mean, it was a game that I would have loved to have seen that go on all night, Ollie, but we must have a winner in W7M. They take it in OT. They get 2 points for their troubles.
They do, and, you know, you got to think commiserations there go to Santos. There's a couple of guys in there that put in an incredible shift tonight. And while they're rewarded with 1 point for it, it's always a bit of a tough one, but another war, another maximum overtime here on the BR6. Exactly what we wanted to see after yesterday. We've fully made up our outstanding overtime demo. We no longer have to stay and scrub the floors tonight. We are good to go. And W7M, they walk away with some very much needed points. I don't think it's going to do all too much in terms of the standings. Obviously, we'll get into that a little bit later on when we do our final wrap-up, but at least it's going to be a start for them, Demo. They can now start to build this redemption arc.